Should we talk about Brexit? I feel like if we talk about Brexit, I'm pretty sure this is the kind of conversation that ends with me banning a lot of fucking people in my chat and then being called a huge Hitler fucking Nazi. There were a lot of memes that happened today. I don't know. Did Right to Bear Arms finally go to sleep? Because I'm pretty sure he was a Brexit bro. Do I even know where England is on a map? Yeah, it's right next to the Middle East or whatever. Or the Center East of Europe, aka the EU zone. Please don't talk about this shit. I've seen enough of it on social media. A bunch of people suddenly become economic and political experts. I don't think this is an economic or political issue. Although if you want to talk about the economics behind it, I mean, there's not really much to talk about there, I don't think.
Truly, this is the dankest.
The dankest dungeon.
Wanna hear a joke? England's currency. That shit dropped harder than Hiroshima. Damn.
Damn, man. Damn, dog. Memeing it up. What a meme, dude. What a meme, man. What a meme, dude.
Wow.
Destiny, if you talk about Brexit, avoid the bullshit like that dumb table you posted with a years left to live decision. I mean, the main point of that was just showing the average age of the voter. Obviously, it doesn't mean much in terms of whether it was a good decision or a bad decision, but I'm really curious because I've only been alive for 27 years. If there's always been such a huge divide between the young and the old, like as time has gone on, I imagine there probably has been, obviously to some extent. I just wonder how dramatic it has been. The pixels are back. I guess I could just, ooh. I've been working on my dread face. No, I'm trying to. He does it really well. It would have been interesting to see the exact numbers on the voter turnouts. I keep hearing that younger people turned out less, but I don't know what the exact turnout was. It would be interesting to see that. I don't know if those numbers are ever even posted. Maybe that's just not something you ever really post. Why does everyone seem to think the UK is leaving the EU is bad? Why do people want to live under a dictatorship? Can you explain what you mean by that? Go ahead, let's go ahead. We'll get started on that. Go ahead. What do you mean by live under a dictatorship? Go ahead and tell me what you think that means. Is Destiny actually going to talk to Sargon of Akkad? I seriously doubt. Somebody mentioned him and I turned on our show and I listened for like 5 minutes and he sounded like it sounded like a British version of Donald Trump. He started talking about how women were stupid because they can only listen to people with vaginas. Something about women desiring more women in politics. I don't know, dude. It was too many memes for me. It literally sounded like a female, or I'm sorry, like a British version of Donald Trump. It was too much. The EU set rules down for people inside the EU to follow. They can do whatever they like with no repercussions. They have no public face, and nobody inside the EU has to be held accountable for their actions. So, Key Riven, I'm not even sure that that's true, but I'll go ahead and say that, sure, everything you just said is true, okay? Let's say that everything you just said is true, even though I don't think it is, but we'll say it is. How does that change for Europe now that you left the EU? Tell me how you think you changed anything by leaving. You're still going to have to submit to everything the EU does. The only difference is now you actually have no say whatsoever. You're still going to have to pay for access to the markets the same way that Norway does. You're still going to have to deal with everything that the EU says because you live next to all of the fucking countries that are fucking part of it. And because if you want to participate in their markets, you're going to have to listen to their rules and regulations. So tell me, aside from giving up your only ability to leverage those deals that you don't like, the only ability that you had to negotiate or trade or to negotiate or to alter any of the things that are going on at EU, you just gave all of that up. So go ahead and tell me how leaving helps you in any of these circumstances. I'm not even trying to like tell me if I'm wrong. Go ahead, but I'm just like looking at it like basically this is what happened. Okay, you have 10 people who all sit around and they're part of like the kids club at school, and you don't like the way that they play basketball. So now you're gonna leave and become your own one man, and you're gonna say you're a group of 9 and I'm the group of 1. Except you're still gonna play basketball with them. You still have to engage in trade and commerce. You're still gonna be importing and exporting goods from all the rest of them. You're still gonna have to follow by their rules the same way that Norway does. The only difference is now you have absolutely no say in what they do. You have absolutely no leverage. So whatever leverage you think you didn't have before, now you doubly don't have. How is that? Our country can make independent decisions. Your country can't do independent everything, dog. Even the United States of America can't make independent decisions. What the fuck do you think England is, dog? You guys don't exist on your own. You guys don't exist in a vacuum. You don't think you need to export goods to the rest of the European Union? You don't think you need to export goods to the rest of the European Union? Like, what do you mean? What do you mean you can make decisions on your own? You can't do anything on your own. What do you think this is? Every time I hear every time I hear the British, would that refer to everybody in the UK? Every time I hear people from the UK talk about this stuff, they make it sound like England is all of a sudden going to exist as its own manufacturing powerhouse that has all of its own natural resources and doesn't need to export goods. What do you mean? You can't exist on your own. You're the fucking United Nations. Or, I'm sorry, the United Kingdom. Fuck me. What do you guys still have to interact with the rest of the EU, whether or not you like it? Holy fuck, Destiny spewing nonsense cancer. Okay, I'm sorry, Rebgedeskeg. Please tell me how the United Kingdom can exist independent of the rest of the EU. Go ahead and tell me that right now. I'm very curious. I'm sorry, I actually don't know this. If you say the British, does that refer to people in like Scotland and shit too, and Wales and... Destiny, they can still create trade deals and follow the rules the EU sets on trade without adhering to the other rules. Do you think those trade deals are going to be anywhere near as good as they were before? Do you think the EU is going to want to negotiate with the UK the same way that they did when you were actually part of the EU? You realize that's not how that's going to work, right? There's no way. If this, like, the funniest thing to me, the most striking thing to me is how much so many people are like, oh, this is going to be way better for Great Britain, or the United Kingdom, this is going to be so much better for all of us, like everything's going to be so much better economically. And then you guys make like, what was it, like a $250 billion bailout fund to help with the transfer of leaving the European Union? Like, I like this. This is cute. We don't even have that many people compared to some of the larger groups on the server now, but... The UK is still the 6th largest economy in the world and is a net importer of EU goods, so I think they'll still have a reasonable bargaining position. Yeah, no one is arguing that, Apple is. No one is saying that the UK is going to fall. I'm not saying that all of a sudden no one is going to want to deal with them. Obviously, they still have a bargaining position, but tell me how it's not going to be worse in every size, shape, and form than it was before. Obviously, the UK is still going to get to negotiate. It's just not going to be as good. Why? Why would you want to fuck yourself that way? The UK already had like a decent amount of control over their own shit. Like, I don't even think they had to do like the super insanely strict border shit. I would have to go back and fucking read the article. All that fucking border shit and free pass and stuff is really fucking complicated. The European Economic Community existed for like 50 years with the EU, so I honestly don't think this vote changes much of anything really, except just makes everything a little bit worse. Like, what was the argument for leaving? I don't know, dude. Let me try to give it like in the least... What is this? Let me try to give this in the least biased way possible. The argument for leaving was most sovereignty. I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't know. I don't know what the argument... I don't know what the argument for leaving was. Oh yeah, that Schengen zone or whatever, that shit or whatever doesn't apply to the United Kingdom at all. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, dude. I'm not sure. Yeah, the United Kingdom was already in like a really lucrative position. They got to keep their own currency. They weren't part of that fucking visa trade bullshit agreement or whatever with immigrants. Like, do you want a rational person to explain it? Sure, Hephaestus, go ahead, knock yourself out. Okay, Key Riven, post your cancer video again and we'll go fucking watch it, alright? Go ahead, dog. I feel like it's gonna be like a Sam... What was that one crazy dude, the Sam Hill dude? I feel like it's gonna be like that, except... I don't know. Go ahead, post it. We'll see. Go ahead, I'll watch it.
This is the most important vote you will ever cast in your lifetime. So listen up. They're lying to you about Brexit. All this Chicken Little, the sky is falling. There'll be World War III if Britain leaves the EU.
Remember when they told you the truth about Brexit by saying that the, what was it, that 250 million a day that was going to the EU fees would be instead, or a week or whatever the fuck is going to be going to the NHS today? After you leave? Remember that? But remember how that was actually like a big fucking meme? But okay.
There'll be economic catastrophe. It's all total bollocks. The EU isn't planning to become a federal superstate.
I don't think that anybody is saying that the United Kingdom is going to cease to exist, just that everything is just going to get a little bit more shitty. But sure, we can start off our video by addressing the most hyperbolic arguments on the other side. That's pretty strong. All right. I can already tell I'm going to fucking hate this video, but I'll keep going.
Accountable only to the bureaucrats who profit from it. It already is one. It already has a central bank, a president.
Except if you want to leave the EU at any time, you always have the ability to, which Great Britain just proved today. But I mean, we can pretend that I guess you're trapped inside the EU, okay?
A currency, a criminal justice system, a passport, a flag, an anthem. These are all defining characteristics.
No one actually said the money would go to the NHS. Who said that? Where did that comment go? I saw that in chat. No one actually said that the money would go to the NHS. $350 million or pound pledge to fund the NHS was a mistake.
£150 million a week we send to the EU, which we will no longer send to the EU. Can you guarantee that's going to go to the NHS?
No, I can't, and I would never have made that claim. That was one of the mistakes I think that the Leave campaign made.
Hang on a moment, that was one of your adverts.
Well, it wasn't one of my adverts, I can assure you.
Well, that was one of the Leave campaign's adverts, but that money was going to go to the NHS.
And I think they made a mistake.
That's why many people have voted.
They made a mistake in doing that. But what I can tell you is we have a nice
You're
feather
saying
bed.
after 17 million people have voted for Leave,
Yep.
based, I don't know how many people voted on the basis of that advert, but that was a huge part of the propaganda.
The Vote Leave campaign has nothing to do with Farage, you dipshit. Even if it has nothing to do with him, it was still propaganda put out to encourage the vote. I don't give a fuck who specifically said it. Are you fucking retarded? Do you think it matters who specifically said it if it was part of the big... Never mind. I mean, I don't have to call you fucking retarded. I've got fucking media right here that fucking agrees with me. Fucking kill yourself.
You're now saying that's a mistake?
We have a £10 billion a year, a £34 million a day featherbed that is going to be free money that we can spend on the NHS, on schools, or whatever it is.
But you're not guaranteeing that that money, as promised, will go to the NHS.
You must understand, I was ostracised by the official Leave campaign and as I've always done, did my own thing.
Do you think there are other things that people will wake up this morning and find out aren't going to happen as a result of voting this way?
Well, I tell you what they will find out, that we're back to being a normal country, in charge of our own laws, and able to start
The UK was already in charge of their own laws, I don't understand.
making our own relationships with the rest of the world, maybe even re-engaging with the Commonwealth.
I don't know, dude. I'm not sure. What is the NHS? Fuck, does it stand for National... Oh, it's right here. National Health Service. It's like the socialized medicine or whatever in England. I guess the closest example in the United States would be kind of like our Medicare. Except for the whole country, I guess. I don't know. I'm from the UK and I just want to play video games and we have to follow certain European rules that we don't have a say in, Destiny. Okay, can somebody give me an example of a bad law that Great Britain or the UK didn't want to follow that they tried to get changed in the EU? Let's go ahead and go over some of these. I'm waiting for posts. Oh, this guy's a global warming denier too? Oh, nice.
Characteristics of
I've seen him tweeting retarded things before. Oh, I think I tweeted him about that NHS shit.
Because it's not about free trade, it's not about peace, it's about obliterating the nation state and replacing it with their own Byzantine United States of Europe and seizing...
This guy is too hyperbolic. I'm sorry. You have to find me a video of somebody that's not fucking retarded. I can't watch another Trump will speak, dude. I'm sorry, man. Try it. Can you give me a video of somebody that's not a fucking idiot? Big argument of the Leave campaign was that Britain could get the same trade deals without accepting the immigration requirements. Do you really think that's going to happen? Do you really think that Britain isn't that strong of a negotiating position? If Britain were to leave and be able to negotiate all the same trade deals, why would anybody join the European Union knowing that they could leave and get the same trade deals? Britain has a large enough economy to force the EU to maintain the trade deals other nations don't. Okay, well, we'll see how that plays out, I guess. If you honestly believe that the EU is going to accept the exact same trade deals as they did before and set an example that anybody could leave the European Union and still keep the same deals, then I guess we'll wait and see how it plays out. I think you're delusional if you think that, but who knows? I could be wrong. I guess we'll see. I think the EU has developed a lot more binding power with its members than it should. I think it was intended to be more of a forum for countries to discuss issues rather than sort of international authority it is now. The problem with the central... Do you want to know what you call Kira, let's play a game. Let's name some central bodies that have a lot of nation states that are members of it that can't get anything done because they have no authority. Let's play a game. Who can name one? The United Nations is worthless because that's exactly what you're describing, where every strong member gets 100% apps. Everyone on the, 12 nations on the Security Council, they get veto power. That's why nothing ever happens in the United Nations, because it doesn't have the fucking authority to do anything. Because anytime something happens that would hurt anybody's feelings anywhere across the entire fucking world, it just takes one person to veto it, and then everybody's like, oh, no, well, you're right, well, fuck us. We won't do anything then. That's the reason the United Nations is so fucking worthless. Or was it 5 nations? I'm sorry. Destiny, you'll like this one. Click.
Here in Britain, we are about to vote in a watershed referendum in which we're being asked to permanently hand over all our political power to people who've been wrong about everything so that they can rule over us like kings. Sound like a deal?
You guys still have a king and queen. What? Dude, I don't know. Never mind. I don't want to talk about this anymore. Never mind. I'm just gonna get mad. I'm just really gonna get mad. I don't want to do it. What am I looking for? I'm looking for wood. 82. I'm waiting for a source saying the UN gets nothing done, or maybe you're just parroting conservative media. What? It seems to me like a lot of the international conflicts that the United States is involved in, that is supposedly for the benefit of the entire world, is a lot of like unilateral efforting. It doesn't feel like the United Nations had a very active role in the invasion of Iraq. It doesn't feel like the United Nations had a very active role in, I don't know, negotiating the deal with Iran. Am I wrong on that? I could just be totally wrong. I admit, maybe I might be wrong and I'm completely uninformed on that. But I've never gotten the sense in anything that I've ever read in terms of international political stuff, dealing with ISIS or dealing with anything. I've never had this opinion. It doesn't seem like the United Nations is engaged in a whole bunch of things that are helping, like, the world in these really dramatic places, like in these war zones, or in negotiating these huge trade deals, or like if we've got a United Nations where everybody gets together and figures out how to solve things, why did it take the fucking Gulf War to step in and fuck up Saddam? Why does Israel still kill children in Palestine? Like, I don't know. It just doesn't seem to me. I could be totally wrong. I admit it. Go ahead and link me shit if I'm wrong. I've never gotten the strong feeling that the UN has had a very strong place in international politics. That's because people have no understanding of what the UN does. The UN isn't supposed to tell a country what it should be doing. I was under the impression that the UN is supposed to be a collection of nations that, because we're all collected there in one place, we can all kind of negotiate and figure out things better there. So it should be the United Nations in and of itself isn't supposed to do anything, but it's supposed to be the facilitator of agreements and trade deals, or not trade deals, but like agreements and figuring out like diplomatic things with the entire world. But it doesn't seem like it facilitates any of that. Well, tell me what it does. I could be wrong. I could be totally wrong. Just tell me what it does, and I'll admit that I'm totally wrong. I don't know. I'm just giving you my impression. I've never read. There hasn't been anything that's happened over the past couple decades. I'm sorry. Fuck me, dude. Over the past like decade, where I've read something, I'm like, oh wow, it's really good that the United Nations was there to step in and ease that. You know, it seems like the United Nations is just there for people to, I don't know, go make speeches about feminism or whatever. How come you never admit you're wrong unless you're proven wrong? What? Because I'm waiting for somebody to tell me I'm wrong about something. I'm just going by, I don't know, tell me if I'm wrong. Go ahead, knock your stuff out, dude. I don't know. I could be wrong. I fully admit that I could be wrong. The biggest part of the Iran deal was that the UN inspector can do shit. Yeah, but it felt like the United States was the big party involved in doing that and facilitating that agreement, and that the UN was just kind of like there along for the ride. Like the United States walked in and made a deal with Iran that let the UN do shit. That's just the impression that I got for all of the articles that I read involving it. I could be fully wrong, but it didn't feel like that was a collective bargaining of the entire United Nations. It felt more like the United States went to Iran and was like, hey, dogs, like, we're not going to let you do this fucking nuke shit. We'll give you some of the money that you guys already have back, or we'll, like, free up some of your funds if you let the UN guys come in, if you let my friends, the UN. Like, it seems like the United States is like that guy who talks to the big, like, drunk bully at the bar and asks that big bully to stop bullying his friend, the United Nations, and then to let the United Nations, like, go to the bar and get a drink without getting punched. Like, it seems like that's what the United States did there. That was just the impression that I got. Scotland will leave the UK and we'll have to make a border between us. We'll make them pay for it because it's their decision to leave. I'm building a wall right now to keep out these filthy fucking Brit bongers. Here's the full size of the UN. I imagine you probably didn't know it had this size. Isn't it like 100 plus countries? I'm not saying it's not large. What am I supposed to look at this and feel? The World Food Program. What is this? Never mind. I don't know. Never mind. I don't know. I'm just giving my I just never had this strong feeling that that the UN really helped much. I mean, I guess I could be wrong, but you're not linking me like anything specific that the UN on its own has accomplished, or any big huge change that was led by the UN. Has any of that ever happened, or? The UN does a fuck ton for the third world, but the United States alone does a fuck ton for the third world. Because you don't really give a shit, Destiny? What does that even mean? I don't give a shit about what? Without the IAEA/UN monitors, the Iran deal doesn't exist. By monitors, are those people that go in and check to see that everything isn't being nuked up or whatever? Oh, it won't list our separation or our funding separately. I don't know. When I think of something like the European Union existing, I'm thinking of like a body that would prevent things from like the Iraq war from ever happening, like stuff like that, or things that would like have a multilateral, is that a word? Approach to things like ISIS or whatever, rather than it seeming like such a strong effort from a single party, from like mainland the United States. I guess I'm not denying that the UN, I'm not saying that the UN is completely worthless, I guess, or maybe I might have said that. The UN isn't completely worthless in all instances. It just seems like there's so much going on in the world in terms of, I don't know, I guess the two big examples I was pointing to, things like the Iraq War, or things like even the Gulf War, or things like, I guess like the shit going on in the Middle East right now, and like how does this, like if we're all part of the UN and all of us like exist together, and how does this shit happen right now with Syria, with some people in the UN supporting Assad and some people in the UN supporting the non-Assad people? How does something like that happen if you're on a council where all of you are supposed to be together, you know, figuring out like solutions to move the world forward? How does something like that happen if the UN is functioning as it's supposed to? Wow, you typed so much shit about how stupid everybody in my chat is, and you talked all this stuff about random vague things, but you weren't able to list a single thing that the UN has actually been involved in that it did? You might know, but you're pretty fucking retarded when it comes to actually talking in chat. It's pretty impressive. Brexit guy destroys lefty arguments. Uh-oh.
Morning, hello.
Morning. I'm Clem Francis, originally from London, student, part-time, no-skilled worker, and the main reason I'm voting to leave is because, first of all, Britain needs its own sovereignty.
What does that even mean? What does that even mean? Why do people clap?
That being in the EU has had on low-skilled workers.
Hey fam, the shit in Syria is happening because the US wants to build a pipeline to reduce Europe's dependency on Russian oil and gas. Naturally, Russia doesn't like this, so they support Assad against US armed terrorists. Napa. UN can't stop a proxy war, TBH.
Then what's the... or I guess, I feel like that's kind of something that, like, if you have a UN, you would have it for, though, no? When is the United States going to leave NATO so we can get our own sovereignty?
Which the Remain campaign don't seem to be able to grasp.
And by that,
fully.
Do you mean competition for jobs and
No
suppressing
wages, competitions for jobs, people needing to apply for 500 jobs before they can even get one.
Okay.
That's not the Britain I remember. That's not the Britain I grew up in. That's not the Britain. That's not the Britain I want to be a part of.
Okay.
And we need to stop being so scared of these tactics. We're better than that. We're smarter than that. We know these people are waffling. We know what's up. We know the deal. We get it. You lot want to maintain the status quo. But the simple fact is, everybody needs to be factored into this decision. It shouldn't be about businesses. It needs to be about the people.
All right,
the people
Clem.
that actually...
Stay there. Clem, stay there. Gentleman over here. Hi, good morning.
Hi, my name's Jimmy. I'm originally from Lincolnshire. I'm a musician, comedian, and the rest. I'm
Talk to Clem.
I'm voting to remain basically because I think that there's more to Britain than the argument of let's make Britain great again, because I think that we could make a Britain for the future which is a bit more culturally diverse and interesting. And I'm not an economist. I'm not an economist. I just hear a lot of talk about money all the time, and I can't say like whether the economy is going to be better or worse in or out of Europe. And I'm not going to say, oh, if we remain, it's going to be better. But I'm going to say I like being part of a bigger picture. I like the fact that the UK could remain.
Here's what's about to happen. Are you ready? Here's what's about to happen. This is what's going to happen. That black dude is going to be like, okay, mate, but how do you answer to the fact that it's harder for anybody to find a job and blah, blah, blah? And he's going to say a whole bunch of things that's going to hit us right in the feels, but he's not going to provide a single fact or figure to back up any of what he's saying, okay? It's all going to be generalizations. That's what's about to happen, I think. And then the audience will clap. Will clap, 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 clap. All right, let's see if it actually happens. I could be totally wrong. Maybe he'll bring up specific figures. Let's see what happens.
In part of this like big thing that is Europe, and I think that instead of making a Great Britain, we could make a great Europe.
This lefty dude is retarded as fuck too, though. But
reality check, my friend. Reality check. Britain is already multicultural. You know, it's multicultural, and has been for the best part of 70 years or more. Okay, it's already happened. Okay, that's different from having people coming from outside and undercutting our low-skilled workers. Okay, now
Amen.
it's not about we want to be inclusive. Forget the inclusiveness. What about the British people? What about the low-skilled people that are not being protected? What about the people who haven't got academic backgrounds, that aren't innovators, that can't get up and move?
Let Jimmy
what
respond.
About them?
Clem, let Jimmy
Who looks out for them?
Excuse me, what are you talking about? This country has not protected their workers at all since the 80s. Not once. And it is only because of the Europe that we have any kind of protection. This is one of the only countries in the world where there's a 0 hours contract.
Yes,
oh.
Fair enough. but the bottom line is we cannot have a situation whereby British people are coming second. It makes no sense.
All right.
Britain cannot be controlled by Belgium. Okay?
oh. Yep. Oh, I feel empowered. So like when I keep hearing about these people coming in undercutting jobs, what about these trickle-down eco-bros paying those cheap undercutting workers? The problem, here is a big problem with arguing with anybody about shit like this. It's one of the worst things about arguing. Trump falls victim to this a lot, although unfortunately it's not working for him anymore. I say unfortunately because I have a lot of money on him. But a lot of people like to argue with their feels, and so we get these comments about how, you know, like, oh, you know, workers are losing their jobs here and there and everywhere, but nobody ever like sources like an actual number or figure to back that up. So that's kind of how you get into positions where you've got Trump saying things like, you know, like, I'm going to cut the EPA in order to make the budget for Medicare better, when the entire EPA budget is literally like $9 billion or $8 billion, and Medicare shortfalls are in like the hundreds of billions, like just stupid things. God damn it, Harkton, what the fuck is going on here? Oh, this is my fault, never mind. I think. Did you really bet on Trump to win in the general? Yeah, I did. But my goal right now is, the Brexit thing is actually really good for my Trump money, because the sentiments that got Brexit passed are the same sentiments that pushed Trump along. So the Brexit shit is really good for my Trump money, and it's actually gone up quite a bit today. I'm hoping that after Trump, assuming Trump gets the nomination, the Republican nomination, I'm hoping that after that I can pull all my money out, because that'll be when he's at like the height of his popularity, and then I get it all out before the real general rolls along and he just gets fucking destroyed. Did you see this? What, Donald Trump in Scotland golfing or whatever? It's pretty funny.